Yes guys, and welcome to another video. So as you can tell by the title, by the thumbnail, this isn't the most pleasant video I'm going to make. Just a bit of an update, also because I didn't do a review to the Hull City game, which I'll touch upon in just a moment as well. But yeah, since then there has been a little bit of news. It's not exactly 1000% confirmed, but from some somewhat reliable sources. Essentially, I'll go straight to the point. It looks like Lefay is going to be out for 5 to 6 weeks, as is Dan Ballard. It's believed that Dan Ballard's injury from the Hull City game, as well as Lefay's as well, it's believed that Ballard's injury is a little bit worse than Lefay's, so I don't know whether that means it's going to be 6 weeks for Ballard and 5 weeks for Lefay. I don't know. And again, it is not entirely confirmed this at the moment, but it is heavily suggested from different areas that we're going to be without Lefay for the best part of a month and Ballard for even more, or for even longer, should I say, which is just, it's absolutely gutting. You know, we have a look at the January transfer window now. You know, I know a lot of people, and rightly so, by the way, are absolutely slamming the transfer window now, but I'll be honest, I was one of them that after the transfer window finished, I thought with the additions of Lefay, of course the Dan's deal is just a mental one anyway. Of course, he signed after we noticed that he picked up a knock, or he had an injury during his medical. We saw that he had an underlying issue with his back, and then we sent him back to Liverpool, but we still signed him. It was a baffling one anyway. However, we were expecting the returns of, you know, Mundle, Watson, Brown, Ballard. So a lot of these players, Samed as well, a lot of these players, they would have felt like new players. So I can kind of understand why there wasn't a colossal amount of movement in the January transfer window in that sense, because we had so many players and a catalogue of players to come back from injury. But now, literally, the January transfer window finishes. Of course, our run of form hasn't been outstanding in terms of performances and dropping points here and there. And then our key player, who we did bring in January, he's now injured. Ballard, who was waiting to come back from injury, is now injured. And as well, a frustration, which is somewhat on the topic, a frustration for me is, you know, how many times have we heard him, Rodgers saying his pre-match presses, or just in press conferences in general, he bangs on about the depth of the squad and players that we need and this, that and the other. And there has been times in the season where our injury list and our catalogue of injuries has been exactly that. It's been a catalogue, so he hasn't had too much wiggle room. But the frustration is when he has had the wiggle room, he hasn't used it. He hasn't been using the depth that we've got. You know, Mundle come on against Hull, and to be fair to me, he brought him on at half-time, where I think that was forced anyway, otherwise we might not have seen him. However, we have had plenty of options over the course of different parts of the season. When you had Latcher, Brown, you've had Menda, who he ignores until until there's like 5 minutes left in certain games anyway. Other players, Alexis, Poveda, when obviously Poveda hasn't been great, but Alexis, there's been other additions there when he just refuses to use them and mix and match and try and make the opposition guess. And that is what turns me on to the Hull City game, which I will apologise for. There wasn't a review. I did a preview to the game. I was very busy on the day of the game. I was able to watch it. Sadly, you might think. But the next day, when I was sort of available, I was a little bit under the weather anyway. And I'll be totally honest, if we'd won the game, or at least played a bit better, I probably would have just forced myself to sit in front of the camera. But because of the way I felt, I did feel like shit. And in turn, you know, at the same time, we played like shit. I just could not be arsed. I'll be brutally honest. I could not be arsed speaking to a camera about the game because it was so lacklustre. We were so uninventive. Easter was isolated. We just looked lost for ideas and we looked so predictable. And that's what I mean when I say, when I saw that team sheet, I thought, yes, on paper it should be able to do a job against Hull City. With no disrespect to them, because they deserved the win, by the way. They did very well. They played to their strengths. But we make it so unbelievably predictable by picking that same 11 week in, week out, and we are absolutely running some of these players into the ground, all whilst we just said, we need the depth, we need everyone to be available. And, you know, a few weeks ago, I think he brought on Alexis and Poveda before he brought on Mayenda, and we were thinking, why has he done that? And he answered the question by saying, these players need the experience, so in the back end of the season we can use them, because then they've got the experience and, you know, they've witnessed and experienced these scenarios and difficult games and stuff like that, which I understood at the time. But then he's not using them. So he's just contradicting himself on a match, game basis and a match day basis. Do you know what I mean? Is constantly saying, "No, we need to use these players, and this is why I'm bringing this one on," but then doesn't use them again. You know, Mayenda, what he has to do to get a start is beyond me, and I understand the theory of people saying, "No, it's because he's got the pace. You can bring him on later on in the game to stretch a game." But there's only so much you can do with 10 minutes to go in half the games. And how many times have we seen when we've gone 2 up top this season? A handful of times we have seen, and we look ridiculously good going forward. When we're going through a phase where Isidore is looking isolated, he's having to create things himself. Surely you would go back to something that's proven and worked, when we've seen in the past, when we have gone with Mayenda and Isidore up top. My argument with the 4-4-2, with the 2 up top, is that it does leave us very open in the middle. However, on the counter-attack, we just look ridiculously dangerous with Mayenda linking up with Isidore. But we refuse to do it when it seems like a clear solution. Do you know what I mean? Or at least something to try. And what's more infuriating now, for me, that's really pissed me off, with this injury with Lafay, is that we've been screaming, absolutely screaming, for Rodgers to put him in his actual position, or at least test it. And you might say, "Oh yeah, but Mundell's been injured, Watson's been injured, so we need someone on the left-hand side." He seems to be happy enough to experiment with putting Lafay on the left. So why wouldn't he put, say, for example, Roberts on the left, Mayenda on the right, and then Lafay, who's on his day will be the best player in this division, in his actual position? I don't know. I'm not the cleverest bloke in the world. I don't have the coaching badges to show, but that just seemed like such a simple solution, or a solution to get him, in his actual position and working. And now he's injured for what seems like 5 weeks. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we get some news and we get a presser that says he's only out for a week or two, which would be great. But now it just feels like we're wasting an opportunity with a player who you're probably never going to see in this league again. Do you know what I mean? But either way, yeah, very, very frustrating. And on the topic of the game against Hull, again, Hull, they deserved it in the end. We were shite. We were utterly abysmal, not just because we lost, but just everything. We just looked so, we looked like we ran out of ideas from the off, really. And again, very, very predictable. It was good to see Mundell come on and actually get some game time. So at least we've got someone on the wing there who can play. You'd expect Watson to be back in the next week or so. I'm sure, I swear to God, for the last 6 weeks we keep on hearing that Watson's back in a couple of weeks, and I keep on saying it now. I feel like I'm getting deja vu, but he should be back at some point soon. But yeah, now at least we've got Mepham that can step in for Ballard. It's a shame because Ballard's not long come back from injury, and now he's injured again. But I'm comfortable in that Mepham's coming back. He's got that experience, and I think he's an outstanding defender anyway. So yes, it's gutting that Ballard's gone, but I'm sorry he's injured. But happy that we've got Mepham to cover for him. But yeah, I just need to think Rodgers needs to be a little bit more brave in the sense of not just drilling like Rig. He looked exhausted at times. Job, and so just giving the same players that, and regardless of what happens, he's using the same 11, which to the bench isn't a great example anyway, because they're just thinking whatever they do, we're not getting on anyway, so that's going to put them in a shitter. Do you know what I mean? And then players on the pitch, regardless of how they perform, they're starting, which again, it sets such a terrible precedent. Which now again, by the way, this isn't all doom and gloom, and I'm not utterly slating Rodgers. I'm not. It's just I'm just saying what I see at the moment. On the course of the whole season, we've had an incredible season. There's still plenty of games to go. I keep on saying it. Of course, we're now, I think 8 points off second. It's looking highly, highly unlikely we're going to be going for those automatics. Again, it's not absolutely out the realms of possibility, but it's looking stupidly unlikely. But like I said in the preview to the Burnley game, I don't want us now because it's looking more and more likely that it's going to be a playoff place, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. Playoffs, that is not a bad position to finish in. However, for the last X amount of games of the season, I don't want our lads to be of the mindset of, oh, well, we've got the playoffs now anyway, so at least we've got those guaranteed, so it's okay if we draw here, it's okay if we drop points here, it's okay if I put in a 5 out of 10 performance here, which I don't think they would, but I just really don't want these games to just pass us by, whilst all the rest of the teams in the playoff places are picking up in form and we're dipping, because regardless of whether we're 10, 15 points ahead of 6th or whatever it is, I don't want to play 6th place who are absolutely banging form regardless of the points total at the end of the season. Points total goes out the window when it comes to the playoffs. So I just want us to get a bit of form, pick up, because we keep on seeing these, hindsight's a wonderful thing and what have you, but we keep on seeing these clips pop up on social media of some of the type of football we played earlier on in the season. And I think that's when we weren't as predictable and people didn't expect us and teams didn't expect us to play in a certain way. Our press was there really, really high. The energy was constant, relentless, particularly the opening sort of hour of a game. That's basically saw the majority of the game. The relentlessness of our press was there, but now it's in bit pieces, and we just don't seem as exciting and as ruthless going forward. And something needs to change now. Not to say that it isn't absolute panic stations. It isn't, but I just don't want us to see a spiral at this point in the season when it is an absolutely crucial part of the season. But either way, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I know it's been largely negative. But you know, with the injuries and of course the defeat, that's the only kind of topic I can touch on at the moment. And yeah, it was just more of a ramble as to what's going on at the moment. But let me know what you guys think about what we should do. Of course, we've got Chef Wednesday on Friday. Massive game. I think we just really need to, like I said, get a win back on the board and then work from there and try and get some momentum heading towards the back end of the season. That is absolutely vital. Let me know what you guys think about the performance at the weekend. What do you think about the injuries? Again, they haven't been 100% confirmed. It's just from what I've seen at the moment. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about everything down below. But if you enjoyed, please hit the like button for me. I know it's been a negative one, but I'd really do appreciate it. If you hit the like button for me, subscribe if you're new. But for now, take care. Stay jammy. However, lads, keep the faith.